Hey, welcome back. My name is Sushant Satish, and I am your trainer for this AZ-104 Azure Administrator Associate Certification course. In this video, we're going to go through Azure Storage Module review questions. So, we just finished the Module 7, which was all about Azure Storage, and we have learned several lessons as part of Azure Storage. Let's have a look at the questions. You work for an open source development company. You use Microsoft Azure for a variety of storage needs. Up to now, all the storage was used for internal purposes only. It is organized in block blobs. Each block blob is in its own container. Each container is set to default settings. In total, you have 50 block blobs. The company has decided to provide read access to the data in the block blobs. As part of releasing more information about their open source development efforts, you need to reconfigure the storage to meet the following requirements. So what is the requirement? The requirement is all block blobs must be readable by anonymous internet users. And you need to configure the storage to meet the requirements. So what should you do? You just need to select one answer. So let's look at the requirement. Your requirement is to provide a block blob which is readable by anonymous internet users. So while creating block blob, you have multiple settings. How you can allow somebody else to access your container. So let's go through the statements. Create a new container, move all blobs to the new container, and then set the public access level to blob, which is correct. So we hit the jackpot. The first option itself is the correct answer. In this scenario, you need to reconfigure 50 containers. While you can do that, it goes against the requirement to reduce the administrative overhead of future access changes. A shared access signature could work here, but not with the settings outlined in the answer choice. In this scenario, you should create a new container, move the existing blobs, and then set the public access level to blob. In the future, when access changes are required, you can configure the single container, which would contain all blobs. Your company is planning to store log data, crash dump files, and other diagnostic data for Azure VMs in Azure. The company has issued the following requirements. So what are the requirements? Administrators must be able to browse to the data in the File Explorer. Access over SMB 3.0 must be supported, and the storage must support CODAs. You need to choose the storage type to meet the requirements. Which storage type should you use? You just need to choose one. So it's not queues, blob, or table. There is only one storage service in Azure which support SMB 3.0 and other requirement what it is mentioned over here. So the correct answer is Azure Files. Azure Files support SMB 3.0 and is reachable via File Explorer and support CODAs. Let's look at question number 3. Your company provides cloud software to audit administrative access in Microsoft Azure resources. The software logs all administrative actions, including all clicks and text input to log files. The software is about to be released from beta, and the company is concerned about storage performance. You need to deploy a storage solution for the log files to maximize performance. What should you do? You just need to select one answer to complete the solution. Is it to deploy Azure Files using SMB 3.0? We are not looking for an Azure File SMB solution. It's not a table storage and queue storage. Yes, absolutely, we need a blob storage, but not block blobs. So the correct answer is deploy blob storage using append blobs. Append blobs optimize append operations. In this scenario, the company need to write data to log files. most often appending data until a new file is generated. Block blobs are cost efficient but not designed specifically for append operations, so performance isn't as high. Let's look at the question number 4. Your company is building an app in Azure. The app has the following storage requirements. The storage must be reachable programmatically through a REST API. The storage must be globally redundant. And storage must be accessible privately within the company's Azure environment. And the last requirement is storage must be optimal for unstructured data as well. Which type of Azure storage should you use for this app? You just need to select one. So based on this requirement, the correct answer is blob storage. Because Azure Blob Storage is optimal for understanding data and meet the requirement for the company's app. You use a Microsoft Azure storage account for storing large number of video and audio files. You create containers to store each type of file and wants to limit access to those files for specific periods. Additionally, the files can only be accessed through shared access signature. You need the ability to revoke access to the files and to change the period for which users can access the files. What should you do in order to accomplish this in the most simple and effective way? You just need to select one answer. Is it by creating a SAS for each user and delete the SAS when the user wants to prevent access? Absolutely not. You use rights management service to control access. That is for document services. That is not the right answer. Or do you implement stored access policies for each container to enable revocation of access or change of duration? Absolutely correct. You should implement stored access policies which will let you change access based on permission or duration by replacing the policy with a new one or deleting it altogether to revoke access. You need to provide a contingent staff employee temporary read-only access to the contents of an Azure storage account container named media. It is important that you grant access while adhering to the security principle of least privilege. What should you do? You need to select one answer. Do you set the public access level to the container? Definitely not. Do you generate a shared access signature SAS token for the container? Absolutely correct. You should generate a SAS token for the container which provide access either to the entire container or blobs. Your organization maintains historical images for large media companies. There are thousands of photos requiring over 600 TB of storage. Your data center has only limited bandwidth, and you need to quickly move the data to Azure Blob Storage. Additionally, security of the data, including chain of custody logs and 256-bit encryption, is required. Which of the following products would you recommend using? So the requirement is more than 600 TB of storage and it requires 256-bit encryption as well. So the correct option is DataBox Heavy. The DataBox Heavy supports 1 petabyte total capacity per order and up to 800 TB usage capacity per order. Let's look at question number 8. You are using blob storage. Which of the following is true? You need to select one answer. The cool access tier is for the frequent access of object in the storage account. Definitely not. Is it the hot access tier is for storing large amount of data that is infrequently accessed? Totally wrong. The performance tier you select does not affect pricing. That is not the right answer. The correct answer is you can switch between hot and cool performance tiers at any time. Changing the storage account tier from cool to hot requires a charge equal to reading all the data existing in the storage account. However, changing the account storage tier from hot to cool requires a charge equal to writing all the data into the cold tier. You are planning a delegation model for your Azure storage, and the company has issued the following requirement. For the non-production environment, you must have an automated time-limited access, and the production environment, you must have an unrestricted access to the storage resources. You need to configure storage access to meet the requirements. What should you do? Each answer presents the part of the solution, and we need to select two answers. Use shared access signature for non-production apps. Absolutely correct. Because for the non-production environment, we need to have an automated time-limited access. So SaaS can give you that. Use shared access signature for the production apps. We are looking at unrestricted access, so definitely not. Use access keys for non-production app. Definitely not. We need to use shared access signature. Use access keys for production app. Absolutely correct. Because that will give us unrestricted access to the storage resources. So the shared access signature provide a way to provide more granular storage access than access keys. And access keys provide unrestricted access to the storage resources, which is the requirement for the production app in this scenario. Your company has a file server named FS01, and the server has a single shared folder that uses access to shared files. The company wants to make the same files available from Microsoft Azure, and the company have following requirements. Microsoft Azure should maintain the exact same data as the shared folder, all right? And the file deleted on either side, on-prem or cloud, shall be subsequently or automatically deleted from the other side. And we need to implement a solution, and we need to select one answer. So we have learned about this when we learned about Azure Files and File Sync. So the correct answer is Azure File and File Sync. So let me explain why it is. In this scenario, only Azure File Sync can keep FS01 and Azure synced up and maintain the same data. All right, let's look at question number 11. Which of the following replicates your data to a secondary region? Maintain 6 copies of your data and is a default replication option. So we learned about this when we talked about different types of replication available in the storage account. So the correct answer is read access geo-redundant storage, and RAGRS is the default replication option. You have an existing storage account in Microsoft Azure. It stores unstructured data. You create a new storage account, and you need to move half of the data from the existing storage account to the new storage account. What tool should you use? You need to select one. Is it the Azure portal? Definitely not. Is it the file server resource manager? No. It's not the robocopy as well. So the correct answer is AZ-copy command line tool. The key in this scenario is that you need to move data between storage account. The AZ-copy tool can work with 2 different storage accounts. The other tool do not copy data between storage accounts. Just in case if you're wondering what other tool you can use Azure Storage Explorer. All right, so that concludes the module 7, which was all about Azure Storage. In the next video, we're going to start a brand new module, which is all about Azure Virtual Machines. And the first lesson we are going to learn about in Azure Virtual Machine is Virtual Machine Planning. So I will see you on the next one. Till then, take care.